Yes, now I can hear you.
Oh, okay, great.
Just a moment.
Good
Yes,
morning,
okay.
Mara.
Okay, now?
I think so, yes.
Bom dia a todos. Gostaríamos de agradecer a todos os participantes, colegas, palestrantes que nos acompanham online e fazer um agradecimento especial ao Dr. Soldner, da seção médica do Goetheanum, com sede em Dorna, na Suíça, e a Associação Brasileira de Cirurgiões-dentistas Antroposóficos, IDEIA. Eu sou Luciana Hirata, cirurgiã-dentista, eu atuo na cidade de São Paulo e sou membro da Associação Brasileira de Cirurgiões-dentistas Antroposóficos, IDEIA. E irei fazer a apresentação e a moderação dessa conferência online, que está sendo transmitida pela plataforma Zoom, onde teremos a tradução simultânea em inglês-português com Mara Tácito, professora de inglês e tradutora. Vocês podem clicar no ícone para ativar a tradução. A nossa conferência terá como tema a contribuição da antroposofia para a saúde individual e coletiva no presente momento. O verso de abertura será feito por doutora Juliana Garcia. Em seguida, eu farei uma breve introdução com a trajetória e histórico da odontologia antroposófica. Doutora Celia Lulo irá falar sobre a contribuição da odontologia antroposófica. A seguir, teremos a conferência do Dr. Soldner sobre a contribuição da medicina antroposófica, seguido pelo momento interativo, encerramento e verso final por doutora Juliana Garcia. Agora eu gostaria de convidar a doutora Juliana Garcia, cirurgiã-dentista, pós-graduanda em odontologia antroposófica. Ela atua na cidade de São Paulo e irá fazer o verso de abertura. Seja bem-vinda, doutora.
Obrigada, Luciana. Bom dia a todos. Guten Morgen, Soldner. In Deutschland ist Guten Tag. Entschuldigung, heute ist Guten Tag. Wir sind sehr froh, dass Sie sind heute mit uns. Vielen, vielen Dank für Sie. Ich lese zuerst in Portugiesisch und nachdem ich lese auf Deutsch, ja? Espírito da força e do amor, vem e abençoa nosso labor. Espírito da sabedoria e da verdade, vem e preenche-nos de claridade. Espírito da paz e da alegria, presentei-nos um novo dia. Geist der Liebe und der Stärke, komm und segne unsere Werke. Geist der Weisheit und der Wahrheit, komm, erfülle uns mit Klarheit. Geist des Friedens und der Freunde, schenk uns eine neues heute. Vielen Dank, muito obrigada. Aos nossos participantes, colegas, palestrantes, nós reservamos essa parte da palestra para situá-los na nossa linha do tempo, aonde estamos agora, e dedicamos alguns minutinhos para contar um pouquinho como foi a procedência desse movimento da odontologia antroposófica, para saber o histórico e, além disso, referenciar todo o esforço, a dedicação, o desenvolvimento e também o aprimoramento que tem sido feito em mais de 2 décadas de trabalho interdisciplinar. Então, para isso, eu devolvo a palavra à doutora Luciana, que contará um pouquinho sobre esse histórico. Muito obrigada.
Obrigada, doutora. Agora eu vou falar sobre a trajetória e o histórico da odontologia antroposófica. E, pioneiramente aqui no Brasil, houve uma estruturação e consolidação de um programa de atuação clínica completo e contínuo para a formação dos dentistas. Na odontologia antroposófica e em outro lugar existia uma forma de programa onde o dentista pudesse ter acesso ao conteúdo tendo a conexão entre a antroposofia com a odontologia. Os conteúdos foram sendo desenvolvidos, um desbravamento desde a conexão de conceitos até os módulos ajustados mês a mês de uma maneira goetheanística, com aplicação clínica, tornando-se um programa específico e com direcionamento. Trouxemos inovação, ampliação de recursos aos tratamentos odontológicos em integração com as áreas da saúde e das terapias antroposóficas, dentro de suas bases, agregando aos conhecimentos técnicos, empregando medicamentos naturais e uma abordagem individualizada em prol da saúde bucal e geral do paciente, sendo essa mais uma forma de atendimento para os que buscam um tratamento com recursos abrangentes e cuidados humanizados. Foi assim que surgiram os critérios e parâmetros, para que os profissionais e pacientes possam se beneficiar mutuamente. É um programa que tem diretriz, coordenação, atualização a cada ano e, sobretudo, a possibilidade de outros profissionais chegarem para aprimorar o impulso, se desenvolverem, serem certificados, inseridos dentro de um meio acadêmico, profissional, onde podem fomentar a pesquisa e estimular o desenvolvimento da área. E essa iniciativa gerou ações como palestras, cursos, eventos, publicações, livros, participações em congressos, e esse é o papel da Associação Brasileira de Cirurgiões-dentistas Antroposóficos IDEIA, que traz a docência, pesquisa e assistência conforme o que foi preconizado por Rudolf Steiner. Lembrando que em 2020 foi comemorado as 2 décadas desse programa de formação de odontologia antroposófica no Brasil, e como forma de homenagear a todos os médicos, dentistas e terapeutas antroposóficos, homenageando também os 100 anos da medicina antroposófica no mundo, culminaram no primeiro Congresso Brasileiro de Odontologia Antroposófica, que foi ano passado, e muitos dos que estão aqui hoje participaram. Nessa travessia, é relevante mencionar que todo o processo foi cumprido passo a passo. Foram 7 etapas em 21 anos. A primeira etapa foi o desenvolvimento dos conteúdos específicos para a área da odontologia e do programa de formação, que culminaram em um curso certificado por profissionais da área de competência, o que antes não existia. A segunda etapa foi a emancipação da área de competência, ou seja, após inúmeras reuniões realizadas entre os médicos e dentistas responsáveis por todo esse processo, por meio de muitos debates, meditação, esforço de todos, bons frutos foram gerados e, com isso, solucionaram a questão da formação curricular distinta entre a medicina e a odontologia. E esse processo supriu a necessidade dos dentistas, como também resolveu a questão da área de competência entre a medicina e a odontologia. E a partir desse momento, existem diretrizes próprias e vigentes para a formação e autonomia quanto à certificação de cada área. Na terceira etapa, ocorreu a fundação da instituição IDEIA, a atual Associação IDEIA. A quarta etapa é o reconhecimento internacional, que foi obtido graças aos registros históricos brasileiros, incluindo certificados e validação, que naquela época eram emitidos pela Associação Brasileira de Medicina Antroposófica, e reconhecendo também esse esforço e os longos anos de dedicação para o cumprimento de todas as exigências, a seção médica do Goetheanum, por meio de sua presidente na ocasião, a doutora Micaela Glacker, avalizou a doutora Celia Lulo como a cirurgiã-dentista responsável pelo treinamento em odontologia antroposófica, legitimando a instituição IDEIA para ministrar e certificar os profissionais dentistas que buscam ter a formação completa e certificada. Isso nos remete a um profundo respeito e gratidão a elas por abrirem esse caminho de modo legítimo, inédito e idôneo. A quinta etapa foi lutarmos e obtermos a portaria para criar a primeira Câmara Técnica de Antroposofia no Conselho Regional de Odontologia de São Paulo, com a presidente Celia Lulo e a vice Luciana Hirata e demais colegas que trabalhamos juntos até hoje. A sexta etapa foi o reconhecimento da odontologia antroposófica como habilitação, pela portaria 165, em 2015, junto ao Conselho Federal de Odontologia. Trabalho esse defendido pela instituição IDEIA. E vejam que interessante que o reconhecimento internacional veio primeiro que o reconhecimento nacional. A trajetória internacional de regulamentação foi seguida por uma árdua trajetória nacional, não menos exigente nem menos trabalhosa, sem entregas para descanso, foram feitos fóruns regionais realizados até sermos aprovados pelo Fórum Federal, que foi a ANEL. Como sétima etapa, aqui nos encontramos atualmente, a instituição IDEIA foi reconhecida junto ao CFO como a entidade de classe representativa da odontologia antroposófica brasileira. Todas essas etapas foram vivenciadas intensamente com grandes desafios e obstáculos inerentes a todos os caminhos de abertura e obstáculos estes superados um a um, porque foram trilhados com comprometimento, coerência, determinação, muita união e formando bases sólidas e raízes profundas. Eu agradeço a todos por acompanharem esse histórico e agora convidamos a doutora Celia Lulo, que falará sobre a contribuição da odontologia antroposófica para a saúde individual e coletiva no presente momento. A doutora Célia Regina Lulo Galitese é cirurgiã-dentista em São Paulo e Botucatu desde 1985, tem especialização em ortopedia funcional dos maxilares, é mestranda em ortodontia, é certificada pela seção médica do Goetheanum, presidente da Câmara Técnica de Odontologia Antroposófica e de Fitoterapia do CROSP, é coordenadora do curso de habilitação em Odontologia Antroposófica e membro da Associação Brasileira de Cirurgiões-dentistas Antroposóficos IDEIA. Autora de livros na área de odontologia e antroposofia. Bem-vinda, doutora Célia. Palavra com você.
Bom dia, doutor Soldner. Bom dia, queridos alunos, amigos, colegas. Vou tomar 10 minutos do nosso dessa preciosa manhã de sábado, para falar um pouquinho sobre a contribuição que a odontologia teve nesse caminho de edificação da odontologia antroposófica e gostaria de colocar para que vocês todos possam deixar possíveis perguntas a partir da minha fala e da fala do Dr. Soldner para o final. Dr. Soldner, me dirijo a você, dizendo que é uma alegria muito grande tê-lo conosco e que o próximo encontro, se Deus assim permitir, será presencial, no congresso que faremos em próximo ano, ok? Muito bem, vou compartilhar a tela. Eu preparei os slides com algumas escritas em inglês para facilitar um pouco aos colegas que são latino-americanos e também ao Dr. Soldner. Apenas o verso de Steiner que eu fiz questão de não traduzir porque é algo muito próprio, né? Então, quando uma criança apresentar problemas de comportamento ou de aprendizagem, antes de tomar alguma atitude terapêutica, examine-lhe primeiro os seus dentes. Quem disse isso foi o Rudolf Steiner, em uma palestra da educação e desenvolvimento espiritual da nossa época. Rudolf Steiner já percebia essa relação conectiva entre o desenvolvimento integral do ser humano e o processo formativo dos dentes nas arcadas. Essa relação intersistêmica, que é macro e microcósmica. Então, nós sabemos que essas relações intersistêmicas existem. Hoje, verificamos e tratamos os pacientes de maneira sistêmica. E essa relação tem exatamente o vínculo com a cosmogênese, a embriogênese e a odontogênese. Isso está pautado no desenvolvimento de todos os sentidos que a criança vai, ao longo dos seus 3 setênios, do 0 ao 7, 7 a 14, 14 a 21, desenvolvendo Então, é um fenômeno de maturação que reflete um intenso movimento da individualidade permeando o físico. E é também um processo trimembrado de eclosão e que é ritmado, né, dentro desses 3 setênios principais, primordiais, que chamamos das 3 primeiras infâncias. Então, isso acontece e a cada erupção e cada eclosão dentária acontece uma aptidão, um ganho. Então, dizemos que cada paciente é um ser que traz um caminho evolutivo que passa pela formação simultânea desse pensamento, do seu sentimento e da sua vontade. Então, passamos a ver, pela odontologia antroposófica, a boca, o sistema estomatognático, como um sinalizador de todo o organismo e decorrente dele próprio. Essa trimembração, ela está presente em tudo que estudamos no organismo humano, no dente humano, e dizemos que é uma permeação gradual dos sentidos. Portanto, a vida anímico-espiritual é expressada na dentição e no organismo físico global, mas é de uma maneira interativa, ou seja, os estímulos que vêm de fora, os fatores epigenéticos que vão acontecendo, os impactos que são advindos do meio em que a criança se desenvolve, ela faz uma intercomunicação, uma interação com toda a genética herdada. E então dizemos que a criança, ela é moldada a partir de sua natureza espiritual, sua natureza física, em intercorrência com o que advém do meio. E então, sim, a criança se torna depois uma individualidade totalmente permeada por tudo que é aquilo que a compõe, advindo do meio, portanto, causando impactos na sua biografia. E então, o modo como isso é processado por dentro de cada indivíduo é ainda mais relevante do que efetivamente o que acontece dentro ou fora do seu meio. É aquilo que é processado por dentro, a sua resiliência, a sua forma de lidar com os impactos e vão, em última instância, trazer, né, uma forma de arcadas, o tipo da dentição, a postura e, claro, respiração, pensamentos, sentimentos, comportamentos, inclusive o temperamento. Então, dizemos que a partir da odontologia antroposófica existe uma contribuição que é dada à odontologia acadêmica, propondo que tratamentos integrativos, interdisciplinares, sejam adicionados aos tratamentos convencionais para que possamos, então, compor uma ciência cada vez mais completa e integrativa. E, por isso, conseguimos contribuir em doenças como, por exemplo, o bruxismo, as patologias, as cáries, as parafunções, as trocas dentárias precoces. E aí, então, dizemos que essa é a contribuição da antroposofia dentro do mundo acadêmico, a partir de uma forma de medicar que é integrativa, acolhedora e interdisciplinar, trazendo todas essas áreas que já conhecemos, a medicina antroposófica, a pedagogia Waldorf, a terapia artística antroposófica e outras tantas. E, principalmente, a forma como isso é feito para com o ser humano, a forma como é aplicado, o acolhimento e o tratamento. E, por fim, dizemos que todos esses bons hábitos, todos os cuidados salutogenéticos, eles impactam positivamente sobre a dentição. Então, a partir dos neurotransmissores, que são ativados e liberados os hormônios a partir de meditação, boas práticas de exercícios físicos, a higiene bucal e os cuidados ritmados, então vão trazer também, agregar à dentição cuidados que vão favorecer todo o seu desenvolvimento. Esse é o caminho que fazemos e que ensinamos. Essa foto aqui, ela ilustra o que ensinamos no curso. O primeiro é o acolhimento das crianças ou mesmo dos adultos pela arte. A seguir, no item 2, fazemos uma anamnese com os pais. A seguir, anotamos naquela ficha interdisciplinar todas as principais imagens que captamos e elegemos logo as prioridades. Se a criança tem dor, tratamos, fazemos um terapêutico entre os alunos e os profissionais que trabalham nessa formação e, por fim, fazemos uma lousa, que não é a lousa do Steiner, mas é uma lousa muito elaborada, com muitos dados, para podermos sair dali do atendimento clínico com uma prescrição ou medicamentosa ou de uma terapêutica não medicamentosa para que o paciente possa prosseguir. E, por fim, encerramos dizendo que tudo isso é importante a partir da fala de Rudolf Steiner, que dizia que as forças utilizadas para o pensar cognitivo são da mesma natureza das que formam e fortalecem os ossos e os dentes. Então, seguimos em frente. Agradeço esses minutos para poder expor essa contribuição que a odontologia faz para com a antroposofia e passo a minha palavra para o Dr. Soldner. Muito obrigada.
Can you hear clearly the translator?
Yes, I can.
Okay, that's okay. So we are going to... agora nós vamos convidar o Dr. Soldner que falar sobre a contribuição da medicina antroposófica para a saúde individual e coletiva no presente momento. O Dr. Soldner é médico pediatra e ebiatra e é membro da seção médica do Goetheanum, com sede em Dorna, na Suíça. Seja bem-vindo, doutor. A palavra é sua.
So, thank you very much for this, friendly but also very comprehensive invitation and introduction today. And first, I want to bring the greetings from the medical section, from Matthias Gierke, my colleague, and also from Michaela Klöckler, you know very well, most of you. Yes, the question was now to me to speak about the importance of anthroposophy for individual and collective health in the present moment. So, the present moment, this is the COVID pandemic, and we get a lot of messages about an infectious disease coming from outside, so to say, as an enemy of our health. And the media are full of messages about a strategy fighting this virus, and it is like a war against a virus coming from outside. And as a matter of fact, we have many problems, and this virus does not come from nowhere. It comes from a region where human beings changed nature, destroyed natural balances, ecological balances, destroyed the landscape of a big river like the Yangtze in China, and also a medicine which did dangerous experiments with viruses. So at the end, this virus is a man-made virus, either by ecological catastrophes or even directly from medical experiences. And so we see that conventional medicine and natural science is able to identify a lot of dangers for our health and gives us also tools to treat these diseases partly. But when we look which are the most important health problems today and also causes of death, then we will get another picture, and I think you as dentists know very well what I'm talking about. So I just want to share the screen. So the public picture is so often, here is the border of our body, and the enemy of our health is coming from outside. The virus, even the sun rays are looked at as a danger for cancer, for example, and so on. But 70% of all deaths on Earth today, the cause is coming from inside and not from outside. So these are caused by cardiovascular diseases, chronic pulmonary diseases, diabetes, and also a lot of cancer diseases are caused by dysfunctional nutrition, a lack of active body movement, and so the lifestyle, the attitude of many people on Earth is the most important background for chronic diseases and death. And what we should also keep in mind, that social justice is very important, and that many people live under circumstances which make it different for them to learn a healthy lifestyle. So when we want to fight against the true enemy, the true background of the most relevant diseases on Earth, at the end, we would have to fight against man itself. We as human beings today are the most important, the most relevant factor for health or illness. And when we take this seriously into account, then we need to extend conventional medicine, which is based on sciences. We have to extend it to humanities and to ask, who is this being which is the most important factor for the question of health and disease, and also of healthy teeth or an early decay of our teeth and arches and so on. And this is the human being itself. What is now very important to realize is that health and disease are terms which refer to a reality on different levels. Health is not the opposite of disease. Health is something completely different. And so it is very important that firstly we ask, what is health? And it is very interesting that in conventional medicine we will not find a satisfying definition of health. The definition of a complete well-being, bodily, psychologically, spiritually, is of no use. Who has a complete well-being in all aspects? Health is something different. An Anthroposophic colleague, and she is very well known in the Netherlands, in Europe, and influenced the whole health system now in the Netherlands, Marthe Huber. She published a paper in the British Medical Journal 2011. And the title is, What is Health? And she comes to a very short definition. It's the ability to adapt, to all your circumstances of life, and to self-manage your life. To live in a way that you can express your own human being, your own talents and capabilities, what is really relevant for you, that you can bring this into your life. And with this concept, you can also do research and ask, is this person able to manage his or her life in the most relevant aspects? And this is something different from the question if there is a diabetes or if there is even something, an extremity missing or something like that. You can have a Down syndrome and you can be healthy. And so health is a question of the empowerment and the performance of our human individuality, of our human I. Your health is different from my health. Health at the end is something very individual. And it is not so easy to do a staging of health, and something very different from a staging of disease. And so the term, how can I perform in life, is something which makes only sense for a human being, but not for a machine. A machine cannot be healthy. A machine can be functional and working, but health is something different. And it's very important to come into a deep relationship to our patients, that we really learn to ask for their health, and then on another level to do an exact examination for aspects of disease. And when we learn to ask for human health, then we can also ask, what is the most relevant background to develop health and to maintain health? And this is without any doubt human development. And here comes now a very complementary aspect to what I said before, that on the other hand, health never exists without relationship. Relationship to other human beings. And at the end, the health of other human beings is the most relevant background for our own health development. To give a simple example, children of parents with a psychiatric disease, they are severely threatened in their own health development. And we can help them a lot if we help their parents to become healthier. And you as a dentist, you know, and we'll speak about it a little bit more in detail, that, for example, the nutrition habits of our patients, especially of children, are so relevant for a healthy development of teeth and jaw and all our dental development, we may say. So we see that not only genetic and mechanical and infectious factors are relevant in medicine, the most relevant factor is the human being itself. And at the end, when we are talking about the adult patients, the inner attitude, the emotional life, and the vision and decisions our patients make by themselves. And on the other hand, the individual health and the public health, the health of the society, social justice, social relationships are linked to each other very strongly. You are dentists. So it is very interesting when we are looking now with this view, with this extended view of anthroposophy and anthroposophic medicine to the human mouth and its development. So the organ where you are working with, which you are working with. On the one hand, there are all the physical structures we learn at the university, which are the basis of your professional activity, are the teeth, the physical, hardest physical substances of our body, their development, their specific formation. And we learn that the teeth development on the one hand is dependent on nutrition, on the supply of calcium and minerals and all the substances we take in with human food. So we have a physical structure here. We have the teeth itself influenced by physical substances, but we cannot explain the human dental development on the pure physical level. And we cannot explain dental health alone by physical factors. We know that the saliva is very important. The saliva has a function also on the mineralization of the teeth. And in each night, it is very important that our teeth are covered completely by saliva, by that they are in a way swimming in a fluid which enables the teeth to get back the minerals they lost during the day. And we know that the cellular production is dependent on stress, on the way of breathing. For example, mouth breathing dries out the mouth during the night. And many factors of modern life and modern lifestyle, they influence cellular production. And also in old people, in the elder generation, it is maybe a problem that the mouth is getting too dry. So there we have to vitalize the organism. We learn by anthroposophy that we have a lot of possibilities to enhance vitality, to enhance what we call the etheric body, the life organization. And that it's important that we are not only looking to the patient at the day, but also in the night. I think it's one of the real greatest gifts of anthroposophic medicine, that we learn that the human being in the night is very different from the human being during the day. And on the one hand, that we are present in the day, during the day, and that we are digesting the food in an appropriate way, and that we are also moving by our own activity and so on. But on the other hand, that during the night, that we really let the etheric body, the life organization, take the lead, that we step out with our soul a little bit from our body, and the body can regenerate during the night. So a next aspect of our mouth region, and this is very important for each dentist, I think, from the treatment from little children on up to the elderly, that our mouth is our most sensitive region of the whole body. Nowhere our soul is so present than in the mouth. You know that we are able to feel, to register very, very, very little differences of our teeth consciously. So our mouth region is a region where our soul organization, what we call the astral body, is present in a very, very intensive way. It is not the opening of a machine. It is the opening in a way of our soul, and the most intimate region of our body. So that you, as dentists, have a very close contact to the human being. And it is really dependent on the trust of your patients, how you can work with them. So trust building is very important in dentistry. And this is a very different aspect of your profession, which can be deepened by anthroposophy. So on the one hand, in anthroposophy, we have a deep respect for the physical facts. But on the other hand, we see them, we learn to see them in the light of the human spirit. And this is so important when we are now looking to the position of the human teeth in the human mouth, and that we see that the whole jaw development of the human face is guided by the human spirit. and that we know in evolution that this containment of the upper jaw and lower jaw development, so that we can have this unique form here, this arch, which stops to grow with 2.5 years, is dependent on language development. Human language, human speech is forming the human face, and especially the jaws, and so the teeth position, and we keep lifelong the teeth position here in this frontal part of our jaws, which we had with 2.5 years when we learned human language, when the language was first time developed, so that we can express our soul and our spirit, express our human being by human speech. So that at the end, the physical facts we see here are deeply influenced by human spirit. Spirit and body are not living separated. We are not living in a separate chamber of our body. Our spirit is in our jaw, in our teeth. And you know that the dental health is also dependent how your patients are really living in this organization and are really present when they take food, and then when they are chewing the food, and that we have to stimulate and enhance this presence in many, many patients today. So this example of the human mouth and the human teeth can give us an example what anthroposophic medicine is about. That we today, where we know so many facts and physical knowledge, that we bring this together with the human soul and the human spirit, and that our patients feel to be regarded as a spiritual being in the way we are of our approach, of our respect for them, how we do an examination, how we do a treatment, especially of our healing art, that we empower their own forming forces for dental development and development of their whole organism. And at the end, dental health is dependent on the whole human health, as we are dependent on social health. Today, we are opening a new chapter in human history. And Rudolf Steiner, 100 years ago, was very aware of this. Rudolf Steiner, 100 years ago, was aware that modern Western civilization brings us a lot of knowledge, brings us wealth, and many things we do not want to miss. But on the other hand, that this modern Western thinking and acting brings death to nature, brings death to the soil and the plants and the animals, for example, the bees. So that modern Western civilization, industrialization, is guided by a way of thinking which regards nature, all natural beings, plants, animals, as dead machines. There is no real concept of life in conventional science of today. What is the background in which modern science developed? When we look back 500 years ago, we have the situation that many people were suffering by hunger and dying. And then many people died by epidemics and felt helpless against the powers of nature. So this was a common feeling that God is the father of nature, and they felt a little bit like helpless children in natural catastrophes, in pandemics, or in a hunger season when the climate, for example, for 1 year was not as normal. So also human beings lived in human civilizations where they were a part of a hierarchy, and the hierarchy gave them guidance. Everybody was one member of this hierarchy. There was no freedom in the way we are used to talk about it today. So in modern history, in the last 500 years, we learned by science, by industry, to dominate nature, to dominate all animals, to dominate plants, to control natures to an extent which is unknown in human history, and also more and more to control human diseases, to dominate, also to become the master of many acute infectious diseases. And one speciality of medicine, which I think made the greatest progress, is dentistry. Many people are not aware that if you lose dental health, this is the beginning that you lose your health and your life at all. When you are looking to the elephants, for example, in nature, the cause of death in elephants is the loss of teeth. And we know if you lose your teeth and have not the possibility of chewing normally anymore, this is the beginning of a process that you are losing your basis in physical life. So I think especially dentists feel that we can be very thankful to the last 500 years of scientific development, of modern industry, modern surgery, modern dentistry. No one wants to miss it. But on the other hand, human health is not independent from nature, from the Earth's atmosphere. And today we learn that the modern science, on the one hand, gave us this long lifespan, this power to manage many diseases, but on the other hand, it is destroying the basis of life. And the true reason is not only politicians in this or that country. The true reason is the way of thinking in modern science, because modern science is thinking that trees, that animals, they are all things, dead things at the end, with which we can do what we want. And we destroy biodiversity and forests and the sea and the air. And now the warmth of the planet Earth itself is changing, and we see that the balanced warmth of the Earth is now losing stability. When we are looking to the human organism, we know that the warmth organization is the highest hierarchy, the highest level of self-regulation in our body. The warmth organization is directly linked to our human eye. Each decision, each human acting is linked to the human warmth organization. So when we recognize today that the climate crisis is now even threatening the warmth balance of the Earth, then we know that the illness of our planet is very severe. And we, on the other hand, we realize nowadays more and more that this planet and the trees, and this is not something dead or a composition of dead things, that these are all living beings like we are. And that our health and the health of animals and the health of plants and the health of the soil is interconnected. So that a very important term today is the term One Health. One Health. You can say One Health. And that means your health, my health, public health, animal health is interconnected, and we cannot keep our health for the next generations without caring for the health of all other living beings. And when we ask what is the true source of life on the earth, we can also learn that this true source is not on the earth itself, it's outside, it is the sun. The sun itself is something which is like the heart of our organism. So without being connected to the sun, no living being can exist in a sustainable way. And on the other hand, modern science, for modern science, the sun is something, a dead thing, a dead machine in the cosmos. When you really check what our children learn about the sun, then they learn it is a planet of, it is something made of hydrogen, it's working like a machine, and at the end it will fail, and then everything is, and that this is the end of everything. So that's modern teaching. But when we are really observing our relationship to the sun, when we observe the rhythms of the sun, when we observe the very well-balanced influence, connectedness of the sun with all living beings, and especially when we learn to understand this invisible Earth atmosphere where we are living in, which we are breathing all together, then we learn two very important things. The one thing is our warmth, our life, it's coming not from the earth, it's coming from the cosmos. The sun is our heart, our great heart of earthly life. And on the other hand, we learn that the atmosphere we are breathing, we are living in, is created by all living beings. Our atmosphere is nothing which would exist in this way when all living beings would die on Earth. Then the oxygen of our atmosphere would disappear within a very short time span. All the oxygen we are breathing in is coming from living beings, from plants. It's created now. And our atmosphere at the end is a co-creation of all living beings. And we are one of these living beings, but we are the responsible living being for the atmosphere which we are all breathing. This is something very, very new, that we are now crossing a threshold of responsibility, and that we are not only responsible for our own development and freedom, but we are also responsible for the health of others, and we are responsible for planetary health, for the health of the whole Earth. You can only be responsible for something when you are able to perceive it. Most people we are living together with, most of the people we are living together are not able yet to perceive the whole Earth organism and all consequences of what we are doing, of what they are doing. A simple example: when I eat a steak from an animal which is kept in industrial farming, which is fed by soybeans, growing in former ancient forests places, and this has consequences for the whole planetary health. It's not only my nutrition, it is the suffering of an animal kept in industrial farming. It is the destruction of forests forming the lungs of our Earth atmosphere. So when I change my attitude and my habits in nutrition, this has a deep impact on the whole planetary health. And to learn this perception in a right way, it is not so helpful to read news the whole day on your mobile or newspapers. It requires inner activity. So the first thing is really doing inner spiritual exercises we can learn by Anthroposophy. Just in a very simple exercise, like the review of the day, we all practice in Anthroposophy. We are looking back on our day, on our encounters, and we are not taking the perspective we had during the day very centered in ourselves, but we are taking more a perspective from the periphery. And we learn to observe ourselves also now from outside, from the perspective, what did others experience in the encounter with me? A perspective which we all will experience after our death, but a perspective which is so important to develop morality in our life. We can only develop a moral acting when we, in a daily review, learn to become aware of the experiences others have with us in the encounter with us, when we learn to observe ourselves from an inner and an outer perspective. And we will learn also that the sleep quality, and you remember the question, am I sleeping with an open mouth? Many very stressed people, for example, or taking alcohol or so, this changes sleep quality. But when we are practicing inner exercises of our spiritual path, we can learn by Anthroposophy. We will also recognize that our dreams, that our sleep quality changes, and that we wake up with new ideas which enable us also to change our habits in life, our lifestyle, towards a more moral awareness of the consequences of our acting for all other living beings. You as dentists know that food has a deep impact on dental health, but food is also essential for the question of planetary health. And we know in these years now that we all have to change our lifestyle in a responsible way, but out of our freedom. This is so important. From the gift of the last 500 years, the gift is human freedom. And the message coming from the future is, take responsibility with your freedom and become aware of the consequences of your acting for all other living beings. So we have to extend our consciousness. And the first step is extending our consciousness to social community. That we realize, on the one hand, the community becomes healthier if our individual freedom and initiative can live and grow in the community. This is dependent from education. Waldorf education is conceptualized in a way that this individual initiative is enhanced, the individual creativity is enhanced. And on the other hand, Waldorf education is conceptualized that it shall enhance human health. It's very interesting that Steiner's first lecture for Waldorf teacher ended in the message, the first criteria for our education is the health development of our students. No educational concept before ever had this goal, the health of our students. But health in this sense, I told you, health as the capability to adapt and to self-manage. So today we know $1 invested in education is more fruitful for health and for social development than any other expense. And that health at the end is most dependent on education. A very simple example is the growth of the population. We know today that 7 billion people on Earth, we are so many, and we must not grow anymore. It's very interesting that we are now coming to our limits of population. But how to control the growth of population? You can try to do it like Chinese government did it, that you control it by force of the state, causing also a lot of adversity in many young parents. But this was not sustainable, and China canceled now this policy. But the most sustainable way to control the growth of population is education. If especially girls and women are able to read and write, to study, if there is social justice between men and women, we have no growth of population anymore today. We have a balance. So the growth of population or hunger today is a result of a lack of social justice and education. So we learn that health is not only dependent on medicine, but that education and farming and nutrition and medicine and social justice, they are dependent from each other and form a common background, not only of individual health, but also of planetary health. For me, it is very important that Anthroposophy gives me another consciousness of living beings. That Anthroposophy teaches me to take serious the soul of a cow, the health of a cow, and to ask what are the right circumstances that a cow can perform healthy, and then we see if we have a farm organized in this way, like we tried in biodynamic farming, that there the cow does not damage the atmosphere, that there the result of the whole activities of a healthy cow on the soil and on the plants, on the atmosphere at the end of the day is a positive one, that the cow can contribute to planetary health and not damage it. But if the same cow is living in industrial farming with antibiotics to enable this mass of animals on a small place, this cow is damaging the atmosphere. This cow is suffering in her life. The milk is not as healthy as the milk of the other cow. So there we destroy planetary health. We destroy the health of the animal. And at the end, we destroy also our own health, because then by this industrial food, we get more allergies, we get more cancer diseases, and we see that the milk is something very different coming from a Demeter biodynamic farm and not in a processed food form or coming from industrial farm. So Rudolf Steiner also taught us that we are not living by chance on this earth, lost in a dead cosmos, that we can learn to develop an inner relationship to the sun. So if you practice anthroposophic meditation regularly, you get more and more an inner relationship, not only to the earth, not only to yourself, but also to the sun and the planets. And you learn that this is a wonderful balanced system. For example, the moon and the sun and the earth. And we know today, as a matter of fact, the moon is stabilizing the rotation of the earth and the life of the earth. And this system is so perfectly balanced that it does not exist by chance, that there are spiritual forces forming the sun, the moon, the earth, and ourselves. And at the end, the earth is not something, a dead, strange thing. I can make use of it as I want, but the earth, the sun, the moon, and I myself, I am created by higher spiritual forces and created to develop my freedom to care now for my life, for all the living beings, for this wonderfully balanced planetary system. This is a complete different feeling. And I know also this system, I myself, we have a future, even beyond our body, beyond this earth, beyond this sun. We have a future incoming. And this future is depending on the way of acting, on the moral way of acting. So when you can become convinced that everything what you are doing for the health of others in a moral sense, that all this is forming the substance of your future, but also of the future of the earth and the sun, then you develop a new inner positivity, a new inner spiritual force for your everyday work. And nothing is without consequences. So this is my message today, that anthroposophy is so important to give us a positive spirit in a situation which is very challenging in our societies, in this very critical situation of planetary health. But this is the situation we are born to cope with and to develop our freedom now to a freedom which becomes responsible, what I would say, for peace. Not war against infectious diseases and other enemies is our most important destiny, but to develop peace, respect for each living being, respect for the performance of others, respect for a healthy development of each child on earth. And let me close by using a word which is very important for me, more and more important. This is beauty. a healthy human being is beautiful. This may be a 90-year-old woman. This may be a man who lost his leg in an accident. But if you are really healthy in your soul, in your life, this makes you beautiful. And a healthy landscape, especially a landscape we formed as human beings, can be very beautiful, can become a garden. And I think this is our destiny at the end, to create a new garden on earth, a beautiful garden. And we should care in our office, in our practice, and in our house, and in all the public places. We should care for beauty, because this is the feature of a healthy situation, of a balanced situation, that we can perceive it by our sense for beauty. And I think also in your profession, you are looking to the mouth. Is it beautiful? Not regarded from the perspective of others, but in itself. That means that the human being, that the true inner being is appearing, is able to appear and to be present in our world. So moral acting, beauty, and inner truth is maybe the most relevant in our situation today. And I'm convinced that anthroposophy can guide us a path to come closer to this idea. So, thank you very much for your attendance. And now, if there is any time left, I'm also open for questions.
Agradecemos ao Dr. Soldner, uma honra e privilégio termos a sua presença e conhecimentos de tema tão importante e atual.
With us. And we thank you very much.
Thank you.
A doutora Juliana Garcia agora vai fazer verso.
Vocês
Consegue me
ouvem?
ouvir? Consegue ouvir, doutor?
Eu estou ouvindo.
Can you hear Dr. Soldner? Yeah.
Sorry, yes?
Yes?
Can you hear, Juliana?
Yes,
Yeah.
I hear.
Okay.
Okay. So, salutar só é quando no espelho da alma se forma a comunidade inteira e na comunidade vive a força da alma individual. Eis o princípio da ética social. Heilsam ist nur, wenn im Spiegel der Menschenseele sich bildet die ganze Gemeinschaft. Und in der Gemeinschaft lebt die Einzelseele Kraft. Dieses Motto für Sozialethik.
Danke.
Ich glaube, das ist sehr gut, ne, für diesen Moment. Vielen Dank. Vielen Dank.
Danke sehr. Danke. Ja, schön.
Und jetzt, wir warten für die Frage. Ich glaube, não sei se temos perguntas já. Chegou alguma pergunta por aí?
Posso falar aqui? Estão me ouvindo?
Sim.
Bom, em primeiro lugar, maravilhosas palavras, gratidão, Soldner. Você já está morando no coração de cada dentista do Brasil e de todo esse grupo que tanto lutou para que você estivesse nesse sábado conosco. Muito obrigada. Eu gostaria de passar a palavra para os nossos queridos alunos, colegas, dentistas e também tem alguns outros médicos e colegas de outras áreas que estão aqui presentes para que possam fazer suas colocações, agradecimentos, sugestões. Nós temos aqui talvez 10 minutinhos junto, né, do Soldner e poderíamos fazer uma troca muito rica nesse momento. Muito obrigada. Obrigada, Raquel, pela sua presença também. Está aberto.
Danke. Danke sehr.
Quem tiver alguma pergunta para fazer, pode levantar a mão ou pedir para abrir o microfone, a gente abre o microfone.
So, ich spreche auf Englisch, das ist diese Frage, ja. What is the influence of the retrospective meditation in the four organization, no? So physical, etherical, and so.
When we do this, we do this backwards. So we go from what we experienced in the evening back to the experience of the morning. And this means we guide our soul now against the normal flow of time. Do you want to translate?
I lost connection, Mr. Soldner. I lost complete connection.
No.
Now,
Yeah,
I can translate from now on, or if you could repeat, please.
Could you understand what I said?
Mara is come back, and
Well,
if you can repeat again, this is
I will
answer.
try. Mara, can you hear us?
Yes, now I can.
Mara, no?
Yes.
Mara?
Hello. Hello.
I'm sorry, my Portuguese is not.
I think she's reconnecting. Yes. I think we'll have to wait her to do the translation because you're not able to do so.
Yes, I have only 10 minutes left because I have another date than here.
Yes, sorry for that. We are sorry for that. Okay.
We
Tudo bem,
will,
meu amor? Ok, viu? Então não tem nada alto.
Mara, can you hear us?
she tries all the time, I think, but
I think she could translate without the channel. She could translate after. Could you translate like this, Mara, without the
I do not hear
Yes,
him.
yes.
Ele não me ouve. Não sei por que ele não me ouve. Eu já pus no English Channel, mas ele não me ouve. Bom,
Mara, you are here on the main channel now. You can translate from here.
okay. So, but I didn't hear what you said, Mr. Gore. I'm so sorry, Mr. Soldner. I didn't hear what you said.
Mara, the question is, what is the impact of the review exercise on the forming forces, on the four members of the human organization?
In the human organization, you mean?
Yes, this is a question, and I try to answer. All right?
Okay. So,
Okay. So I say we are doing this exercise
estamos fazendo esse exercício
from the evening backwards to the morning.
De uma forma contrária, da noite para amanhã.
So we guide our soul, our inner perception against the normal flow of time.
Então, a gente está nós estamos nos guiando contra o ritmo normal das coisas.
And this gives us an inner strength, more and more.
Isso nos traz mais força interior, mais e mais.
And we enhance
E podemos
a soul
melhorar
power which is not coming from the past, but which is coming from the future.
melhorar forças que não estão vindo do passado, mas sim do futuro.
Because in our human being, there are always two forces. One is coming from the past to the future, and one is coming from the future in the other direction.
Ok, porque nós, como seres humanos, nós temos duas forças, uma vindo contrária à outra, uma vindo do passado para o futuro e outra vindo do futuro para nós.
And so when we fall asleep after this exercise, we have given a certain power to our human eye and the human soul.
Então, quando a gente faz esse exercício na noite, antes de dormir, antes de cair no sono, a gente está trazendo uma grande força do futuro para nós, para a nossa alma interior.
And also the way we do this exercise is to try to observe us more from the outside, to observe what is the impact of our acting on others.
Então, e a gente consegue fazer esse exercício quando a gente tenta olhar para nós mesmos de fora e ver e enxergar qual tem sido o impacto das nossas ações no mundo exterior, para os outros.
And the consequence is, the next day, for example, you come into a situation with a patient, for example, and you have to make a decision for this patient.
Então, e as consequências é que quando você passa por experiências outras no dia seguinte, por exemplo, com um paciente que você tem que tratar.
And if you do this exercise regularly, then you will notice you become more aware what will be the consequences of my decision for this person.
Então, se você faz esse exercício frequentemente, em relação a esse paciente, você vai ter maior consciência de como a sua atuação está impactando a vida desse paciente, a saúde desse paciente.
And what might be the best decision when I look from the future and not from all my knowledge from the past?
E quais seriam as consequências quando eu começo a ver do meu futuro para cá, em vez de considerar as forças do meu passado?
So I hope this can give you an example how these exercises can make us more capable to act in an appropriate way.
Eu espero que vocês tenham tido uma ideia de como esse exercício pode nos capacitar e de como melhorar a nossa atuação todos os dias.
I have only time left for one other question, and sorry, then I have to leave our conference.
Okay.
Só tenho tempo para uma pergunta a mais uma resposta de uma pergunta a mais. Depois eu tenho que deixar vocês.
Posso perguntar?
Pode.
Olá, quem é?
É o Lúcio.
Oi,
Tudo bem?
Lúcio, tudo bem? Você faz a pergunta e a Maria traduz para ele.
Okay. First, thanks for all, Dr. Soldner. It's a great pleasure hear you. Thanks.
Primeiro, muito obrigada. Foi um grande prazer te ouvir. First, thank you very much, Mr. Soldner. It was a great pleasure to hear you today.
É possível mudar o temperamento de uma pessoa? Ou isso não é possível ou indicado?
He's asking, Mr. Soldner, if it is possible to change the temperament of a person, or if it is not advisable to do, or if it's not possible.
Yes. A very interesting question. So, for example, if you have let's begin in another way. No person has only one temperament.
Ok, vamos começar da seguinte forma. Primeiro, analisando que ninguém tem somente um temperamento.
But we are also built in a form of a composition of temperaments.
Então, e nós somos, na verdade, formados por uma composição de temperamentos.
When I'm listening to your question, I can hear that a very one-sided dominating temperament can be a problem.
E quando eu ouvi a sua pergunta, eu já estava pensando que quando existe um temperamento dominante, isso pode ser um problema.
And maybe everybody of us has also this experience with himself.
Talvez todos nós aqui tenhamos tido já a experiência de perceber isso em nós mesmos.
And now what we can learn is to balance more and more our temperament by other forces in our soul.
Então, e o que a gente pode aprender é trazer ao equilíbrio mais e mais desse temperamento para a nossa alma, desses temperamentos, da mistura desses temperamentos, trazer um equilíbrio para eles dentro da nossa alma.
A first step of this is the normal development from a child to an adult.
O primeiro passo para isso é analisar o desenvolvimento da criança para a fase adulta.
In many people, you can observe a real change in the temperament between a childhood and then adulthood.
Em muitas pessoas você pode observar essa mudança de temperamento entre a infância e até a fase adulta.
But for example, if you are a true choleric one.
Por exemplo, se você é um verdadeiro colérico.
So as a young man, you may become sometimes very violent or loud and not regarding others.
Então, nesse temperamento colérico, você pode muitas vezes, como adulto, se tornar muito agressivo e com gritarias, e isso é parte do seu temperamento.
You can practice some anthroposophic exercises, like the subsidiary exercises.
Você pode praticar alguns exercícios antroposóficos. Por exemplo, Dr. Soldner, can you please repeat what kind of exercise you mentioned?
So exercises of concentration, the review exercise I told you, and others.
Exercícios, por exemplo, de concentração podem ajudar.
But also this review.
E dessa revisão, autorrevisão.
And some exercises in your social acting.
Exercícios na sua atuação social.
And then you can transform your choleric temperament.
E aí você pode transformar o seu temperamento colérico
into a very fruitful character.
Em uma personalidade muito frutífera, muito boa.
Which can be very helpful also for others.
E que pode se transformar em algo muito saudável, inclusive para os outros.
You are still choleric.
Você ainda é colérico.
But you have now also enhanced your patience.
Mas você também agora herdou uma paciência.
Enhanced your open curiosity for others.
Também a sua curiosidade pelo outro.
Enhanced also to become more rational and to consider all the consequences.
e também você herdou desse exercício uma paciência maior para lidar com os outros.
But you are able to make decisions and to be fully engaged with your willpower.
E ainda assim você vai continuar capaz de tomar suas decisões e estar completamente comprometido com as suas responsabilidades.
So in that sense, you can transform your temperament.
E é nesse sentido que você vai conseguir transformar o seu temperamento. Dr. Soldner, now we are going just to make the closing of the conference, and Juliana Garcia is going to read another poem to us, okay?
Novamente nós agradecemos ao Dr. Soldner.
We again thank you, Mr. Soldner. It was a great honor to have you here in our conference.
Agradecemos também a sessão médica do Goetheanum.
We also thank the medical section at the Goetheanum.
E o doutor continua convidado para estar conosco presencialmente no próximo congresso previsto para se realizar no final de 2022.
And you are also invited for our next meeting, our next congress, our next conference in the end of 2022.
Agradecemos também à Associação Brasileira de Cirurgiões-dentistas, Antroposóficos e IDEIA, os membros, alunos, ex-alunos e a doutora Célia pela iniciativa e organização.
And we also thank the Association of the Dentists, IDEIA, and especially our special thanks to Dr. Celia, who organized and coordinated all this event.
Nós agradecemos também a Mara Tácito, tradutora, doutora Juliana.
She's thanking me now for the translation.
Thank you very much, Mara. It was
Thank
great.
you for the honor to participate in this. And I loved the Mr. Soldner's speech and all your speeches too, and to know about the history of this association IDEIA, which is really beautiful and consistent. Thank you very much to all of you.
Thank you, Mara. E agradecemos também a cada um de vocês, participantes, que abrilhantaram essa conferência e acompanhem as nossas redes sociais e sites para próximas informações de eventos e cursos.
And we thank every participant here, and please follow our news on the site for our next events. Thank you very much.
Okay. Agora eu gostaria de convidar a doutora Juliana Garcia, que irá fazer o verso de encerramento.
And now we're going to invite Juliana Garcia to read the poem. Sorry.
Thank you.
Yes, and first let me say thanks to the translator, to you, Mara, and thanks to Luciana, and thanks to Celia for her excellent introduction, and to Juliana. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Soldner.
Compartilha de toda a dor do mundo, mas não dirige tuas forças para onde és impotente, e sim para o próximo, a quem podes ajudar, a quem podes amar e alegrar. Fühle mit allen Leid der Welt, aber richte deine Kräfte nicht dorthin, wo du machtlos bist, sondern zu den Nächsten, den du helfen, den du lieben und verfreuen kannst. Hermann Hesse. Vielen Dank.
Danke.
Bye, bye.
Bye.
Thank
Vamos
you.
abrir as janelinhas para todo mundo aparecer.